Emotions play a role in just about everything that we do, including whatever pathway we have chosen to follow, whether that be personal or professional. So, all week long, we've been talking about the emotions that we have along that pathway. And today, we're going to share our discoveries of the week. One of our favorite episodes, especially Bob. Bob loves discoveries of the week on Fridays. So, we're going to share our discoveries of the week. You think about yours, and please feel free to share them as well on episode 786 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Bob. How are you today?
I'm, as you know, because we spoke before the program, I'm perfect. Everything's absolutely spectacular. Got up, did a run this morning. It was 30 degrees and I was out there running, which not my favorite thing. If you gave me 30 or 95, I'd take 95 and humid any day.
I thought you liked it to run when it rained.
I do like to run when it's raining, but it did not rain this morning.
So now we're starting to get an understanding of your running interests. Hot, rainy.
Yes. And I've got a new friend that I wave to every morning when I'm out either walking or running at 6 a.m. A state trooper now lives near the bunker, and he's up at 6. I guess he has to be at work at 7. And he's in his vehicle, and we're starting to do that guy nod thing in the morning that guys do. Like,
hey, I recognize you.
No talking. There can't be talking because he's in his vehicle and he doesn't look like he wants to talk. But today I got a full nod. Yesterday I got a partial nod.
You got that.
It's also been, this is day 5 of me getting up and him seeing me at 6 a.m. So I think he's starting to realize this guy's legit, not just see him once and it's done kind of guy.
5 days makes you legit. Just curious.
Touche.
All right.
Hey,
I don't know what the definition of legit, what your definition of legit is.
It's the habits forming again.
Okay.
Awesome. And I used to do it every other day, but now I'm trying to run one day and walk the next day. So, because I like the consistency, the alarm going off at the same time.
Some people would say that walking is as beneficial, if not maybe more, than running, especially for older men like us.
When I say I'm running, it's not a 2-mile full run. It's more like a half mile walk a little bit, half mile walk a little bit. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. I'm not I would really struggle to go out and run outside. So I'm not just okay, let's just start and let's just run and look around. That's one thing I like about running in the gym on the treadmill is usually when with a coach is that they mix it up typically. The other day we had a 23-minute run. And all we basically did was go from a push pace to a base pace. And
okay.
I was like, wow, this time can't go any slower.
Well, I run about a quarter of a mile, maybe half mile. And then there's a track I run around a couple of times and then back to the bunker. Or sometimes there's a town I can run into. And I'll run into a town. And it's nice to be in the town because there's no one in there. And it's very quiet. I've finally figured out how to run with my headphones in my ears. I don't know if I told you this. Maybe 2 years ago, I got really nice headphones, had them in my ears. And I tripped while I was running because I was so focused on what I was listening to. And did some damage to my hand, scraped up my hand pretty bad. And I was like, all right, that's it for the headphones, no more headphones or earbuds. And I've gotten back to that lately. So it's so much easier with music playing.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Great.
Now I just need to figure out how to make it so the texts don't come through with the music. That would help.
Okay. Interesting. We'll save that discussion for another day.
That's probably a good idea. Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast, where each week we have a conversation around the topic. And throughout the week, we will share our one thing around that topic. Today, though, because it's Friday, it's Friday, Friday. We will share our discoveries of the week, those things that we've identified and through our conversations have learned. And I think this week was a good case of it, where people shared comments. And that brought along a lot of learning and a great opportunity for us to expand what is real for each of us. So as we go through that conversation today and share our discoveries of the week, we would encourage you to share yours, because that value could have a significant impact on someone, or it might just have a small impact on someone else. Either way, it is value that you have an opportunity to share that someone else might be desperately looking for. And so please feel free to do that as well. Before we dive into our conversation, though, each morning, Bob and I do our celebrations. So, Bob, what you celebrating today? I got a good one. And I know
Okay. I got a pretty good one. You know, I like a good customer service story, right?
you love
I do.
customer service stories.
So I'm in the process of buying a property, not a huge property. So it's not the estate or the compound as some might think that I'm going to buy. It's rather
It's an
small.
underground bunker.
I'm sorry?
It's an underground bunker.
No, it's above ground. It would be a penthouse. That's what it's called. So
Yes, that's correct. You
within the
shared
next month, there's a good chance I'll be able to tell you that I'll celebrate living in a penthouse. Granted, it's only 3 stories in this community because that's as high as you can build a building, but that's a penthouse.
top level.
Anyway, so it was home inspection day yesterday, and there was a home inspector that came, and the realtor was having trouble getting the key to work in the lock. She tried it. She thought it was the wrong key. It was the right key. Everything was, and we're all stuck. It's the inspector and the realtor and I and me, and we're trying to deal with this. And the inspector says, let me look at the key. And he tries to put it in. It doesn't work. Takes it out. He gets his pliers. He goes, I think it's just like ever so slightly messed up. I want to see if I can fix it. So this guy's pliers, he does a little shift, puts it in, turns it. It's fine. I'm going to bet you 99% of the people in that situation when I said, oh, well, call me when you figure out how to get in here. I'm leaving. And he stayed. It's Chris Bandy with Veterans Inspection Group in Maryland. And credit to Chris for taking the time to do the extra thing that made it possible for me to not have to come back another day and for the process to continue. And on top of that, he did something else that's great in customer service. He's like, I will have that report to you by the end of the day Friday. It's like, oh, wow, that's really fast. It has just come in within the last 10 minutes. So
Wow.
Under promised, over delivered. How nice is that?
Yeah, I like that.
There you go. And he's
Hold on
really
to that
busy.
card. Did he give you a business card?
He did not. No. This was part of the interesting thing to me. He's like, we're so busy, you'll find me. Apparently, home inspection right now. There are a lot of homes selling right now.
There's a lot going on in the real estate market.
Yes.
No doubt about that.
It kind of went down and now it's back up.
Crazy.
So, but I love that he found a way to solve a problem for a customer that most people wouldn't have bothered. It would have been like, sorry, the key doesn't work. Too bad. Call me when you figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, how about you? You said you had a good one.
I do. So yesterday was a great one.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Celebrated my wife's birthday. Well, today I was talking with one of our Renegade Success Network members, Jackie Appleman.
Jackie.
And he shared with me yesterday a bunch of things, and that it's his birthday today. And so I want to celebrate his birthday today. It's like birthday week. Didn't we have your sisters?
It is a flurry of birthdays.
Okay, all of you out there who are trying to do the math, good luck.
What?
You're stuck. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you? Come on, Bob. It's not that hard. You're a bright guy.
I totally got lost. I got distracted.
There's a lot of birthdays going on. You said it's a flurry of birthdays. and I started in my head doing the math. And I'm sure there are a few other people who were trying to do the math. What would we be doing the math on?
What 9 months is to now?
Bingo. I still don't know what it is because I've stopped figuring out. I think it's like the 4th of July. Or that might be a summer.
This is a fascinating area to me. This is an area that when I meet a parent and they talk about their kids' birthdays, I will often ask them, when's your anniversary? And it often correlates to 9 months before. When's your birthday? 9 months before. My favorite is when the Orioles won the World Series back in 1983. There were a fair number of children born in early 1984. When the Ravens won the Super Bowl, there's research. There's actually like scientific studies that show that childbirth increases around these events, as does it when there's, of course, a blizzard or a COVID. Tornadoes go through as people are cooped up. I'm surprised we haven't really seen the true COVID wave. I thought we were going to see a huge wave of children come out of the COVID period, but I haven't seen that. Maybe I'm not tracking it closely enough.
We'll wait in a couple of years and see what the school attendance looks like. That'll be it. Anyhow, that was where I was going with it. I'm surprised it took you that long to figure it out. Either way, Jack, happy birthday. I hope you have a great day. And I know he's got some classes to teach because he's a business writer and also teaches classes, college courses. So I hope that your courses go well and that you enjoy.
And he was worried about snow, right? There was talk of snow today, so his celebration may have to get moved. He was talking about going out to dinner. I talked to him on Wednesday, and he was saying they may have to postpone dinner until Saturday, not tonight, because of weather.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that for where he lived, and could be.
Well, I know there's more snow up in the northeast of the country because I was hearing that they were calling for 7 or 8 inches. Your parents had to get walloped, right?
I don't know. I hadn't heard that yet, so we'll see.
Oh, okay, because I think they were in that corridor that the storm that was coming across the country.
It all depends on which way the winds blow.
By the way, today's show, I can do weather if you need me to. Al Roker's getting up there. His health's not reliable. I could be your next weather guy. I'm tall.
Are you beating up Al Roker?
I could cover the Canadian border all the way down to the Gulf of Mississippi, or Gulf of Mexico, sorry, the Gulf of Mississippi. I could do that all in one brush because I've got a big wingspan.
Do they have a camera that could cover that, though? And a green screen that big?
Therein lies the problem. I've had trouble with green screens in the past.
Well, that may be the thing holding you back. Who knows?
As long as it's not my rapier wit and my marvelous looks, I'm okay with it.
Okay, fair enough. All right, should we dive into our topic?
People, I could so do it.
You would be a character like Al. I mean, that would be a.
Tom, you've seen me. Can't I be a character?
No, that's what I said. You would be a character like Al, just a different kind of character.
Different kind of character. Yeah. More like David Letterman.
Yeah, have you seen him lately?
No. Oh, he's got the huge beard, right?
Oh yeah, full on. Big.
No unresolved issues there.
Yeah. Anyhow, so let's dive in. Let's move on and away from the weather, not away from Jack's birthday celebration. Just you and the weather and NBC and the Today Show and David Letterman. Talk about stream of consciousness. Anyhow, so should we dive into our discoveries this week about pathway emotions? You want to kick us off?
So we've been talking all week about the emotions that come up as you're on your pathway to achieving whatever it is. And I think as I was running this morning, I was trying to come up with some conclusions that I think we agreed on or that we reached. One I think we reached is that emotions are going to come up on our pathway. It's a given, right? I think where we also agreed after discussing it a bit was that we need to process those emotions and not let them control our decision making. Correct? And
Yes.
so then it's a matter of to have the confidence that you can take a step, have the emotion, process the emotion, and then learn from it, because those emotions do teach us things. I had something going on yesterday, and there was an emotion around it that really taught me something about how much I cared about something that I'd kind of thrown away. So I think it's understanding what we learned from that and then making the next decision. And I think that's you have to create a system to do that, because that's a lot. There's a lot going on there. And I know for me, historically, I let my emotions dictate. You heard it before the program. Yeah, I was pretty passionate about something. And if I had allowed my emotions to dictate my actions, it probably would have been a different decision than I would make when I step back and think about it. I know that because it's 15 minutes later, and my thoughts are completely different around what I was going to do. So, and I think that's what we often fall into the trap of. And I know when I was leading a team, I felt like if I was in a meeting and someone said something that kind of frustrated me, I had to come back right away and answer. And if I answered and made the wrong thing, which I tactically, there are people I worked with who, if they listened to this, they'd be like, oh, I remember that day. I would just come back with an immediate emotional response that was the worst thing that I could have done in that moment, because it was all emotion. And I think when we respond emotionally, other people respond emotionally. And it just becomes a snowball effect that one emotional response leads to another one. I'm upset with you for saying that. I feel hurt because you said that. Now I say something that hurts you, and then you say something that hurts me. And before long, you're looking for property in a place near a bunker, but that's a whole different story. But we have these things happen all the time, right? And I think in leadership roles, the owner of a business, a executive level manager in a business, someone who is a leader in an organization, your ability to create that system, to have the confidence to know that you can have the emotions, deal with the emotions, and not let the emotions completely guide your actions is really critical to being able to proceed on your course. Otherwise, I think I've done it. I've known if I go to a certain meeting and say a certain thing, it's going to piss off the boss. They're going to get frustrated, and then they're going to say this, and then the meeting's over, and I can go back to work. I've used that to my advantage before, and other people have too. I think we also do it unknowingly. We just do it because it's fun. We just do it because it's just the way it is. And I was thinking this morning while I was running about meetings, how many meetings I've been to where everyone fills their role. You know, you and I were on a board, and I pretty much felt like I could tell you who was going to say what at each board meeting and how they're going to react to most things. And I see that infrastructure in families too. I was around my family the other night, and I fell into my role. I was Bob in the family setting. And if you and I play golf with certain people, I would fall into Bob, that guy. And we all have these roles that we play, and it's often around emotion. And I think it's recognizing where emotion plays its role in our daily life, and not saying I'm not going to be emotional about this, because here's the reality. We're going to have an emotion around stuff. If you don't have the emotion, I think this is another thing we agreed on as I'm thinking about it. If you don't have an emotion, it probably doesn't matter. And if it doesn't matter, it's probably not, I'll go out on the limb and say, if you don't have an emotion around it, it's probably not a step that really is using your learning and taking you further. Because the steps I take that are easy, there's not a whole lot of emotion around it. This program for me is easy. It is. Now there are days where it becomes emotional because I feel like I'm too vulnerable. I feel like I said something I shouldn't have. I talk too much, whatever. And then I started to do that with my hair. But generally now, not a whole lot of emotion around it. But the
Even
first
with the intros.
Okay, but there's something where I thought I had it worked out, but I stepped a different way and it brought new emotion to it, which is a good thing. I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that it challenged me and frustrated me because those emotions showed me a couple things. One, really need to think about that. I can't just phone it in. Two, it's important to me. And there are days, Tom, where I hop on here. I'm like, you know what? I really don't care about this program. If we never did this again, I could totally be over it. That was a day where it was quite the opposite. It's like, wow, this really matters to me a lot. And I had another day in the last week or two, I don't remember when, where I realized how much it mattered to me because I juggled some things around to make it happen. And it was complicated. And I think that's a great emotion to be like, okay, these things matter to me because we all do things during the day where it's like, oh yeah, I do this every day. Big deal. I go to the post office and take the letters to be mailed, whatever. I put gas in my car. It's not much emotion around putting gas in my car. Sometimes the price is higher than I expect and I get a little emotional, like, really? It's going to cost this much? But generally, it's the cost of doing business. But then if something comes out of the blue in the day and it causes me a real emotional response, it makes me realize things about my day. Like this morning, I was running and the sun was rising. I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. I kind of like that. If I go this route, I come back and the sun is rising in my face the whole way back. And that was a motivator. It's like, wow, now I have a different step I can take. I need to run a different way to get there. And I just happened into it. But the emotion was what led me to, wow, this is a route I should take more often. And I think we do that in business. I think we do that as leaders. You kind of fall into something, you go, wow, I feel really good about that. That meeting went really well. I wonder why that meeting went well, or I wonder why it didn't go so well. And that emotion is the start to the opportunity to learn if we choose. Or we could just be like, Friday meetings don't work. Everyone's late. Never going to do a Friday meeting. All right, guys, next week our meeting is going to be Thursday afternoon at 4:00. Oh, really? 4:00 that late? Yes. Why? Because Friday you were all late. I've been there.
Not a very emotional topic for you, is it?
What's that?
It's not a very emotional topic for you, is it?
Well, the other part of this is I try to bring emotion to this program.
You're saying that I don't? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that at all. You have to, when you do this kind of thing, you have to be more animated than you would be in a normal discussion.
You have to be?
See, look at Al Roker. You have to stand out. If it's just like, so Tom, tell me about your thoughts around emotions and your pathway. Thank you, Bob. Let me share. Then we're scripted. The Today Show's never going to buy us with that. And by the way, all those nighttime talk show guys are like leaving. Trevor Noah and James Corden. I could do a British accent if I needed to, and we could do an evening program.
Maybe you have been pushing the wrong button.
Tom and Bob in the evening. See, I've already got the jingle. Nighttime with Tom and Bob.
Okay. Could work. Might be different.
All right. What are your thoughts? I've spewed for a while.
Like I said, this is a topic that you have a lot of thoughts on. Yeah, I think that, I think one of the things you said near the end is one of the things that has been a discovery for me is that really that emotions typically lead to an opportunity to learn if we are willing to take the time to do that. And I think that so often we downplay the role of emotions, or we get frustrated that we had emotions, or that we let our emotions, sneak in for a little bit. And I think that there's value to that. it's when they stick around longer is usually when we struggle with it, or they're so powerful that we make an immediate decision or take an action. I also think, though, that you can get to the point where you can have something that matters and not have a ton of emotion around it.
Lead me to that path. I want
Well,
that road.
I'll tell you, one of the things that I think has happened as officiating has helped me with that piece of it is, I have started to realize that I'm going to make calls that are that I'm going to look back on and be like, maybe that wasn't correct. Maybe it was something that maybe I had an odd angle, or just something that someone else saw from a different perspective, so they had other feedback. The number of times that I think about it, and yet if I let too much emotion in, I get caught up in it. And so there's almost now this point, I'm getting to this point where I make a call. It's a call. And I know we talk about that, and there's a lot of people around me who are going to say that was a great call, it was a good call, it was a bad call, it was whatever. I'm trying to get to the point where it's just a call. It's just a call that I made. And not letting the emotion of it stick around. And I've sort of developed a little tool, a strategy system. I have this thing where I hit my leg when I'm like, I'm not sure that if I was to redo that, I might do it differently. And this is what I might do differently. And that sort of action just allows me to say, okay, I've considered it and I'm moving forward. I'm not going to get stuck in it. And so often I have seen partners who get stuck in a call and can't let it go. And I think that distracts them from some of the rest of the game, and they start looking at it differently. I was with a partner this week who actually shared there was a note that came out. I guess this past weekend in college, there had been some physical play in women's lacrosse, and maybe some calls that could have been made around that physical play. And I actually had a partner who said, in like a few minutes into our game, it's like, I think I'm letting that email make me question the decisions that I'm making on the field in this moment. And, and I think that that's something that can happen, right? You get feedback, you hear something else, there's something else happens, and you take that in.
Fear, right?
Right.
They've got this thing, and I'm fearful that if I do this thing this way, I'm going to fall into the trap that they talked about in the note, or my boss's memo or his suggestion, hey, whatever you do, don't do this thing. And now you're so busy worrying about doing the thing that you're not doing your thing.
Well, and I think you're worried about someone else is going to see it
and
question your judgment or judge you on your ability based on a call that you made or didn't make, or an action that you took or didn't take that's a part of it. And I think there becomes a point where you can start to let what other people say in certain situations have less impact. And you can find more confidence in what you're doing. And even if the confidence is, I'm confident I'm not going to get every call correct. But if I was to watch it again from a different angle and a different perspective, I likely would have done something differently. And when you can understand that you're doing the best you can in the moment, given all your knowledge, experience, and perspective, and that what others have to say is kind of just feedback, I think sometimes you can have less or no emotion in it in an effort to kind of be in a place where a balance, maybe, or harmony. I don't know. I think I talked about this once before, but it just got me thinking as I was saying that about, we were at this conference for lacrosse, and there was a psychologist who was there. And he was talking about how athletes get to a point where when they make what would be defined as a spectacular play, and you go back and ask them about it, it's almost like they can't remember it or can't remember. They just are.
They're
And
in, you talk about being in the zone or in the flow, or
right.
there's that tranquil space where when you're doing something that it's all instinct, right? You're not, it transcends. I know there are times when I've written before where I'll sit there and write when I was writing fiction, and it'll be 2 hours later. And if you had asked me, it would be like, it's been like 5 minutes. And a plot twist has come that I have no idea where it came from.
Yeah, and I think it's that idea where we process things so quickly. It's almost scary how quickly it gets processed. And so in that time, if you're processing and trying to decide, do I do this or not do it? Likely you're not in the flow and going to be able to achieve this spectacular thing. It's when you are
or even this thing that I don't think it's spectacular. It's just something that I would say you were born to do. Right. And as you say that, I think it's fascinating that the emotion around it, you're right, it goes completely away. It just is.
Well, and I think I'm not always sure that it's born to do. I think it's something that just you let all of those thoughts sort of dissipate and you just do it. For anybody who's played golf, anytime you watch somebody go up to hit a drive and you can see them like really overanalyzing them. And I do the same thing. If I'm shifting my feet a lot, or I'm not feeling comfortable over the ball, or I'm worried about my takeaway, or all of those things, the chance that I'm going to like hit that shot that's why I keep coming back to play this game, are I think a lot less. And that when you're in that space of like, okay, I go in and now I'm in this almost like neutral state, and you just let things happen, I think that there's a higher likelihood that you are going to hit that shot that you're like.
I agree. My best golf was after I got no sleep the night before. I was up all night, played at 8 a.m. and had the best round of my life because I didn't give a damn. I just wanted to get done. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't analyzing. I was just counting the number of holes left before I could finish, go home, and go to bed. Hey, Tom, we've got Missy with us today who says, be a goldfish. Goldfish with their 8-second memory.
Yes.
Well, I like that. I like that image, but I think where I would say is in terms of being mad at ourselves, be a goldfish. But I think what we've really tried over the week to talk through is the idea that there's an opportunity to learn. And unfortunately for the goldfish, there isn't a whole bunch to learn because you're in the tank, your food's being served to you, you've got bathroom facilities right where you are. It's pretty easy living. I don't know that our lives are quite the same as a goldfish. There's a little more predatory action going on in our days, and we have to do a little more to get our food. At least I do. I can't speak for you, Tom. You might have people bringing you food.
Yeah, no. I think that in the moment, it's great to be a goldfish. And then I think that there's the opportunity after that. The unfortunate thing for the goldfish is they don't get the chance, if that's true about their memories, they don't get the chance to go back and really learn from it. So I would imagine sometimes they just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again because they didn't remember that they had done it before. And so this is the way they do it. And they didn't remember the results of what happened, which,
not that they have a lot of things to really discover in their world. The diver man at the bottom. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed. It's Ted Lasso reference. I'm so sorry, Missy. You're right. And Ted Lasso's coming out really soon.
March 15th.
Another season. Have you watched that?
Yes.
Did you like it?
Yes, a lot.
Okay, I was going to say yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting show. Well, I think that there's a lot to it.
Thank you, Misty. Sorry about that.
There's a lot to it that, again, I think that it's when we have been able to learn from our past, and then we just allow that to become a part of us and not dwell on it one way or another. The more I think about the great golf shot I just hit, there's a pretty good chance that the next one is going out of bounds or in the wood. Right? Would you agree?
that would typify my golf game. Some
Yeah.
great holes and some meteorically bad holes.
Yeah. If I spend too long thinking about what happened before, now I'm over analyzing it. And now I'm thinking, well, what did I do the last time I did this exact thing? And in reality, I'm stepping up to a different shot on a different hole with different conditions.
And everything's different. That's why the systems are so important, right? Because the systems transcend the different. If I always do the same thing before I swing a golf club, it doesn't matter if it's windy. It doesn't matter if it's rainy. It doesn't matter if the hole's long or short. I'm doing the same thing over and over, right? So if you look at great golfers, they have a routine and they do the same swing every time, just like tennis players do that. If I do the same thing every morning when I get up to run or walk, set my clothes up the night before, get up at the same time, go to the bathroom, drink a glass of water, put the clothes on, make sure I have the key to the door, turn on but it's a system.
It's a lot of information.
But all that system gives me the confidence to know that at 6 a.m. when I'm walking out the door to go running, I'm physically prepared. And I'm also mentally prepared because over that previous 15 minutes, I've done all the stuff to get to that place where now I can focus solely on running. I'm not worried about, did I bring my keys? I'm not worried about, is the phone charged? I'm not worried about, did I charge my watch the night before? And I think that's a really simple example, but we can do that in work, in systematizing things. So not checking your email 14,000 times a day, but I'm going to check it these times. Checking your phone messages a certain number of times. Checking in with your staff a certain number of times. Not just willy-nilly going through the day. Oh, it's 9:15. I have nothing to do. Let me check my email for the next 45 minutes. Because what happens when we don't have the system? We're humans. We go off track and we start doing things that aren't productive. We start watching videos. I talk to people all the time. So how's your day? Oh, I went to Facebook at 8:30 and next thing you know, it was 10 o'clock and I was late for a meeting. I've heard that a number of times because they don't have a system, right? How do you manage your time?
Well, I think that I think there's a lot of definitions of what a system could be. Because I do also believe sometimes that if you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you always got.
Indeed.
And I think that the system is, if you include in that system, what have I learned from what I have done?
Mm-hmm.
And incorporate the fact that there might be new knowledge, experience, and perspective that come in that impact that system, and you're open to modifying the system. Like, I think one of the key things of having a system like that, and again, where sometimes you have to decide when you're going to do that rather than just let emotion take over, is to try to figure out when I might need to make adjustments to the system, and that adjustments are a part of the system, not outside of the system. That makes sense?
Okay. Right.
Is that a part of any system that you have could be the opportunity to understand what's going on and consider, again, what went well, what didn't go as planned, and what I might do differently, and that's a part of the system. Because, like you said before, if I'm always checking in, I always need to check in on my employees, and I always do it at 9 a.m. every day or 10 a.m. every day. Pick your time. That's my system. Well, if I start to realize that half of my staff have meetings at 10 a.m., or they always have meetings at 10 a.m. on Thursdays.
Right.
Well, me checking in at 10 a.m. on Thursdays, if I say, well, my system is I do it, this is how I do it. And I don't ever stop to think about it, just like, I'm just going to keep doing it because this is the system I set up. I think there's always the opportunity that if we have a system that has a chance for us to evaluate and measure, we get a chance to learn. And Don't just let emotion dig in. Like, oh, this is my system. Doesn't matter what they're doing. I'm coming at 10 a.m. They're not there. They're not there. So I think that's part of it is how do we have a process that allows us to learn so that we can occasionally make tweaks for that. If a golfer walked up to every tee and said, I'm going to hit it exactly the same way with the exact same club and do everything the same, that might not work out so well.
No.
If their process is, I'm going to go up and I'm going to evaluate what's going on based on what I know, and I am going to make a decision, and I'm going to say, this is the decision I've made, and I'm going to live with whatever it is, and I'm confident in that decision. I walk up, I can hit the ball. Not the exact same way every time, not the exact, because I might have to want to hit it with, again, this is not the casual golfer. Although casual golfers think, yeah, I can hit a slice, or I can intentionally hit a fade, or low, or high into the wind, or whatever. That's the professional golfer who has had built into their muscle memory different types of shots that they can call upon to do.
Sure.
That.
So was that your one thing in all that?
I think so. Well, you mean my discovery of the week?
Yeah, I'm sorry, your discovery of the week. Apologies.
That's okay. I think, I think that to me, it's that there's the learning piece of it that I think we forget in all of the emotion. And it's not just learning that we can have emotion. It's taking the time to, all right, now how do I get the emotion? So I understand it. And I'm now trying to figure out what can I learn from that emotion, not just react to it.
It's funny you say that, because mine was going to be, we go from the step we take, to emotion, to what we can learn. And if we can get to that learning opportunity, that's where the real gold is. That's where the opportunity to grow is. If we get trapped in the emotion, so often that's where we get stuck.
Sure.
Oh, these meetings never work out the way I want them to. Or I'm the best boss ever. Either one of those gets us stuck, right?
Yes. Why Michael Scott, who had a mug that says best boss ever, was pretty much stuck his entire time there.
Tom, I have a favor to ask of you. You talked about your system of tapping yourself on the leg, I believe, or hitting yourself on the leg when you're officiating. Would you be kind enough to do a Facebook Live about that? A little more about how you came to that and what that does for you?
Sure.
I'm sure it's more complicated than what goes here, but I'm fascinated by it. And I think others might be fascinated by it as well. So if you could do that by Monday, maybe?
Sure.
All right. So if you want to see Tom talk about that, it'll be a Facebook Live. I'm sure the replay will be there as well in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. So yet another reason to go there. And I've got something I'm cooking up to do in there in the next 24 hours as well.
Awesome.
So,
sounds like it's the place to be. So we look forward to seeing you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. If not, go out and enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you on Monday, 7 a.m.-ish Eastern time, for our next episode of today's Antidote.
Hey, embrace the renegading you, everyone, and have a great weekend. I'll say it. Have a great weekend. Whatever great is. I'm using an adjective.
I'm going to say enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.